Hey everyone, this is Dusk, AestheticGamer, and I'm going to be talking about 2018 and going into 2019. The game that you're seeing on the screen is Close Your Eyes Anniversary Remake, but it's not really what I'm focusing on. I'm mostly going to be talking. I'm just going to be moving around occasionally just to have sort of a visual. This is a game I released recently on Steam. It's currently in early access. It's a remake of Close Your Eyes, which I released freely on Steam in 2015. I'm not going to talk about this game again, but you can find links in the description below, as well as a lot of the stuff I'll be talking about. If I talk about something that involves a link, it's most likely in the description, so read that, I guess, if you want to know some of the things I'm talking about and see them for yourselves. Now, talking about this, I have some plans for 2019, but before I talk about 2019 in depth, I first want to talk about 2018 because there's a lot of things I haven't really been public on. So, to start off, I should say that 2018 had some of the worst things that have ever happened to me occur, and there's a lot of things I haven't really been open or honest about. Not things that generally you'd want other people to know, but I'm going to talk about them because I think it's kind of important to talk about some other things and talking about going into 2019. Some of this I have been public about, and some of this are things that people probably already know about, and if this is the first time you're hearing about this, I apologize. This is the method that you're hearing about it. 2018, for example, and this is probably the biggest thing for me, was the year where Ian Oakley, who has been my best friend for over 10 years now, passed away. And it was very... There's things about his passing which have sort of stricken with me, and his passing wasn't all that long ago still. I have had enough time where it's sunk in and all that, but I will say that's had a profound effect on me. Talking about this a little more in depth, this might get a little bit personal, and this whole video is going to get personal, so if you don't really want to hear something that heart-to-heart for a bit, then this might not be the best time to watch this video. Ian died by suicide, and this was not his first suicide attempt. It was something which he had attempted several times in the past, and I was aware of it. And to talk even a little bit closer about this, I had known for a while that Ian had had suicide attempts. For a while, I mean literally years. I told him to talk about things to me, but of course, he was a bit more private. Some people have this really negative stigma where they think that people do suicide stuff for attention seeking, which by the way is a very toxic mindset, so please don't have that. However, Ian was the complete opposite of this. He almost never talked about anything involving his depression, his suicidal thoughts, or anything like this. He was very to himself about a lot of it. And our relationship didn't have us talking a lot about it. In retrospective, I wish I had pushed more for him to talk about it with me. But that, of course, has happened, and it's too late to change anything about that now. His passing, though, made me realize some things, which have made me change some things about my life for the better. To talk about this, in 2012, going into 2013, I had one of the worst breakups I've ever had in my life. It was also my longest relationship. It was with this girl I'd been dating for 2.5 years. I had lived for a period of time with her family and some other things. In fact, some of my older videos were done when I was living with her and doing some things. That breakup was particularly bad. I won't go into the full details of it, but when I was growing up, I had this unfortunate sort of isolating effect. There was a lot of unfortunate events I will not get into right now, which led me to be sort of an isolating person, and going into that event, it sort of led me to become a further and further isolating person from 2012 into the present. Ian was one of my very few lifelines during that period of time. Ian and I kind of did everything together. We talked a lot until more recently, and I'll talk why that was. Obviously, I mean before his death. To touch further base on this, what had occurred is that I started to focus more on, I guess, just making myself a liable person, do my own things. I've done a lot of work in my own city. I haven't held down a proper job, but I live in the city in the U.S. with the most home-owned businesses, and I have, thankfully, a lot of connections. So I would do a lot of part-time work and, like, seasonal work to just both make ends meet, and it was more interesting to me than trying to scale down an office job. I got more involved in focusing on various other things, including creative work, and During the periods of 2013 to the present, a little bit after my breakup, you might notice, I decided to just start trying making my own little games. There were so many skills and talents that I lacked, so I thought I would never be able to do it, but I decided to push through because I just wanted to, and, life is too short to focus on the things that you enjoy doing. Going into that sort of effect and that sort of period there, I began to focus more and more on that, and as I focused more and more on that, because games take a lot of time to make, even if they're sort of crude things like this, but they take a lot of effort. You have to do a lot of aspects to them all over the place, and I began to use that, I think, as a crutch, an excuse to further isolate myself. Towards the end, before Ian passed away, we were talking less than we had talked in the past, and Ian and I used to do everything together, I should mention. I think that I was a helpful force in his life. I was able to take his mind off a lot of things. Ian was kicked out of his home at 18. His relationship with his family was very hard to describe. It was very obviously not healthy for him, though, and even I noticed, and I should have done more about this, that he was getting a lot worse after he recently had moved back to his hometown and his family had gone back into his life. There is a specific event involving his family where I had noticed that his mental state sort of started getting a lot worse, and I should have reached out to him, but I was so busy with my own things. Anyways, I'm not going to focus too much on that, though. However, Ian's passing made me reflect on a lot of things, and it also left me in a state of realizing how lonely I had been. I had isolated myself, and it's no one but my own fault, so I'm not blaming anyone for this, but I decided to make some changes to my life because of that, and I also had some experiences with another person, because Ian's not the only depressed suicidal person I've known. There's someone, I won't fully get into details about them, but they would not have been alive today if I hadn't intervened into their life. It's a very long, complicated story, but talking with them and getting to know them a lot better did help me understand a lot of things, because they have a lot of disabilities that they have to deal with in their day-to-day life, and that's been very eye-opening for me as well. There was also just a lot of talking with just general people, because I've always been sort of a social person. Even when I've been shy and all that, I like to help people if I can. Not to think that I'm some sort of savior of people, just if I can do something, I'd like to, if that makes sense. And I've always had sort of that attitude. As such, though, I started focusing less on my videos, and I can start talking a little bit about why that is. First of all is I've had a lot more going on. Outside of Ian's passing, there's been a number of other events that have been going on in my life. My financial responsibility has increased because my parents are in a terrible, terrible position. My dad has owned his own business ever since I was young, and he had actually done very well in his business, but because he owned his own business and sort of ran it, there's been periods where my immediate family has either been very poor or doing like upper well off. They've been doing worse than ever, though, because of corruption is the easiest way to describe it. What occurred is in 2014, 2015, some sort of investor invested several $1,000,000 into my dad's business, which seemed too good to be true at the time, because it was. For those who don't know, my dad is involved in a medical clinic sort of business, and he also was a very strong activist for alternative fuels. How to use plants to sort of replace the fuels that we use, specific plants and oils that are secreted from plants. And he had been talking to a lot of people around the world about this. He'd even met with the Prime Minister of Spain, I forget the name of the position, but the leading ruler in power of South America, the First Lady of Japan. He had been invited and done lots of talks around the world globally. He loves traveling, so that was great for him. And he was getting to become more and more of a public figure, with lots of news reports covering things he was doing and other things. However, that got the attention of one of the 40 richest people in the world, a billionaire, just to give a sort of a title, an oil tycoon from Canada. You might be able to figure out who I'm talking about if you sort of narrow down the options there. However, his son had done something for his father, this oil tycoon, and the investment was from them so they could have a marginal share in the company. And then basically when the time was right, they seized control of my dad's company and basically took everything he had ever worked for in his entire life. He lost literally everything. Houses he owned, which he was renting out to poor people, which is a long story there. His offices, his works, his employees. And the worst part is that it was all decreed by a judge. And the judge, very shortly after this event, was fired for corruption. The judge was taking bribes under the table. In this particular case, went way too quickly. Basically, they passed everything on that my dad had worked for in the trial or a hearing that lasted less than 15 minutes, which is unusually short for something like this. So a lot of shady stuff going on there, and it's put my family into a very terrible position. Talking a little bit further about that, unfortunately, what they decided to do, my dad wouldn't be able to countersue until next year because there was a trial case they put against him, and they basically locked him. Again, their strategy this whole entire time has been basically to squeeze every penny they can out of him, lock him to trial so he can't countersue until after these are over. They finally will be able to not do this anymore. My dad can finally countersue in next March. But because of this, for the last couple years, last 2 years, he's been in this financially poor situation, and I've been having to work harder so I can provide for him so he doesn't lose his house and home and everything. And it's a very complicated situation. So I've been in this position where I've actually been doing better than I ever have. My games have been doing actually pretty well. The work I've been doing more around my city has been doing great. More people know that they can rely on me, and there's been a lot of things going on there. But it's not been a fun time, though. And even though I've been making more money than I ever have, I have almost no money in terms of savings, and I've been very poor because I've been having to give most of it to support my immediate family. My financial duties, quote-unquote, there will end pretty soon, though. So I'm going to be more in a position where I don't have to worry as much about supporting my parents at the moment, which will be nice. I'm a little bit concerned about my future, but we'll see. I mean, what happens, happens, I guess. But anyways, there's that with Ian's passing and some other things. There's more things that have been going on than just those two things, but there's been a lot on my mind, which has resulted in me not focusing a lot on my YouTube channel, and also just being kind of a private person in general because I've had so much going on, and not specifically the good things. There have been good things. It's not like everything here has been bad, and I don't feel like I'm in the bad position. I'm overall pretty happy. I mean, I'm getting by. Day by day has been fine. I have opportunities to do a lot of things which I decide to do for myself, and that's good, and I don't take that for granted either. I'm actually very appreciative of being able to do that. However, I have decreed to myself a few things. These weren't exactly a New Year's resolution. It's just that this stuff happens to be in a good period of time. As I said, my dad is finally able to countersue and actually get a hearing in front of a jury, which I should mention this whole entire thing hasn't had a jury because of that. And so my financial responsibilities and focus on trying to put money first, but not even money I'm getting, money from my parents, can finally sort of pass on. And on top of that, I'll be in a position where I can have more focus on the things I want to focus on, more focus on my own future. And I'm also in a period where I'm not going to be over Ian's death for a long time. I already know that. But I'm in the point where I've accepted it more and I can talk about it a little bit more openly. And also face up to the fact with Ian gone, I don't have a best friend, and I'm in a position where I don't want to be an isolating person anymore, if that makes any sense. I've had enough time to sort of think about this. Okay. Hopefully, for those of you still with me, we'll talk a little bit more about some things here. So, what I'm going to want to do in 2019, I've got a few miniature goals for me. I am going to still focus a lot on my game stuff, which I think makes a lot of sense because I enjoy working on my games. I've got a lot of plans. If you follow my games, I've ever played them. If you can find them as Yai Gameworks on Steam, like YAI space Gameworks, as in GAME WORKS, and I'll continue working. And I want to release a number of things and finish some things in 2019. I want to finish the early access release to Close Your Eyes. I want to release the big update for Red Haze. I want to finish up Found Horror Game 11.x. And I also want to release one of my previously announced projects, which was PT Baby Boo, as well as some other small things. I'll be trying to release some smaller projects all throughout this year as well. Talking a little bit more in depth about some things. For YouTube side and streaming side, I'm going to switch from streaming on YouTube to streaming on Twitch. You can find the Twitch link again in the description below. I'm going to be using, funnily enough, the iGameworks name on Twitch and streaming, and I want to try and make a goal for myself to stream at least once a week. And that is not a very ambitious goal, but it's really what I can offer in between everything else and focus on everything else. There's also so many games I'm missing out on. This has been the most frustrating thing. I've played almost no video games within the last, 2 or 3 years, and I want to focus more on being able to play more. There's so many games that have my attention and I want to play, I just haven't had the time to. I'm hoping after my financial responsibility lifts up, I can focus on getting a new computer. The computer I have is not dying at the moment or anything. I've got my suspicions it will die soon. I have not treated this thing very well, I can be honest. It's lasted me almost 7 years now, but it's showing its age. It still can run things fine, but, at the same time, it's still an old computer, and I'd like to replace it sometime this year. I'm a little bit worried because I'm very excited for the Resident Evil 2 remake, and I'd like to play that on PC. In fact, that's the method I could play it on, really. But I'm afraid how well that's going to run on my computer. If it seems to run okay, I'll do my Let's Play of Resident Evil 2 remake when it hits. However, on the chance that it runs like shit on my computer, which is actually a very likely possibility, I might have to hold off until I get a new computer. I might save a few projects for them and focus on some older games. But I'd like to stream once a week, and I mostly, at least once a week, I should say. And I would like to make it so that I can focus more on a lot of the indie horror games that have come out. The thing is, I legitimately love horror. I'm a huge, huge, huge horror enthusiast. And I'm also should mention something. I have a lot of old videos I need to upload. I'm going to continue uploading some old videos as well, but I do want to not edit as many videos as I can, so I'm going to mainly just upload pure stream things. Some videos I get inspired to edit for, but the thing is, in the past, editing took up way too much time. It's a mixture between the fact that you have to sort of watch all the footage and make sure everything's fine and dandy, and then there's the period of touching things up, and some things take some time to touch up, and then you have to render it, which takes about almost as long as the actual editing part. When your computer is rendering, it takes up a lot of its processing power, so it's not really available to do too much. So it just is this huge time-consuming process, and to be honest, I could be using that time for so much else. I'm just going to be mainly uploading raw uploads, which I hope people can understand why. The thing for me as well is that recording and doing this YouTube thing has always, always, always been a hobby for me. When I was a kid, I used to do VHS recordings of the games I played, and YouTube has always been kind of an extension of that for me. I will always continue doing it because I enjoy it, but how much focus I put into it kind of depends. YouTube has not been doing very well for me, and that's okay. The thing is, I've never really played the quote-unquote YouTube game, and I've taken way too many breaks over the years due to a number of things. The most recent being the things I've described, and I understand if the viewership is low, and that's okay. The thing is, for me, it's just something I enjoy doing, and I'd love to share more horror games out there because I really do have a huge passion for them. Talking a little more on this then, one of my goals is to upload at least one video a day on YouTube. I'm going to be using YouTube's Premiere function, partially because I have a lot of videos in my backlog, which are, really old. I uploaded them years ago, but they're still on, scheduled or private or something. I have to schedule them, and YouTube will not notify people that they've been uploaded, unless, of course, I put the Premiere function on. The Premiere function has a thing where it sort of re-uploads the video. So if you wait too long and the video's been privated or scheduled for a while, it won't show up in people's subscription feeds, nor will it show up in my new videos feed. Or it will show up in my activity feed, but it won't show up in my video log for some reason. This sort of fixes that issue. Hopefully people enjoy the Premiere thing. I will try and pop up in, not in all of them because there's no way, but I'll pop in the ones I can. And yeah. By pop in, I mean the chat that happens as they premiere. The next thing which I can touch on, trying to upload a video a day, trying to stream once a week. I will be focusing a lot on my game development stuff still. If you ever want to reach out to me, you can reach me through Twitter specifically is the best option because I don't really use Facebook, if I'm going to be honest. I do have a Discord server, which I will link in the description below. It is centrally focused more on my game development than my YouTube stuff, but I do announce streams and some YouTube stuff there. If you want to join, there'll be a link there. There is an introduction phase you have to do, so you have to sort of read the rules and then introduce yourself and all that. And we do keep tabs on things. If you follow the rules, it won't be a problem, but we have some hooks in hand in case there's just people there to act up, essentially. Try to think if there's anything else I really want to say outside of the song time here. So to touch a little bit more on this, I am trying to become a less isolating person. I'm trying to focus more on some things which I just enjoy. I think life is too short not to focus on that sort of stuff. I do want to reach out more to people because I've sort of been an isolating person for a long time. I'd like to change that. YouTube, I want to upload once a day. Twitch, I want to stream once a week. I want to finish some of the projects I've promised previously in terms of my game development stuff. I will be releasing smaller projects throughout the year. I first want to focus on this weird Yandere project idea, which was something that we talked about on stream. I might do a few more development streams, but they're kind of an on and off thing as well. I'll focus on playing this for a second. Turn that off for a second. I might share some more family stuff. I'm not gonna commit to anything more than that right now. There's a few ideas I have, but I feel like I should take this one step at a time and not like overwork myself or anything. In fact, if anything, I need to take some time and not work as much. By which I mean I will always be working. The thing is, I'm a kind of a busybody person. I like working on things. The things I focus on are things I enjoy. But at the same time, even doing things that you enjoy, you can really kind of push yourself way too hard sometimes. And I kind of have been in the bad habit of doing that, if I'm going to be honest. I'm going to just flip this on. So, hopefully all that's clear. I'm not really sure if there's too much more to really touch up on. I think I've explained most of the things here. If you have any questions for me or any comments, I'll try to respond to everything in this video for like the first week or two it's up. I hope everything I've said makes sense. I'm not really going to review and analyze what I've been talking about and saying. I'm going to try and be more open about things going on in my life. I feel like I'm in a position where I can start being a little more open about things, and it's probably for the best if I am, honestly. Because I'm in this position, I think that sometimes silence leaves too much ambiguousness, and that ambiguousness people can read into in their own ways. I know there's a lot of YouTube channels that have shut down. There's a lot of YouTube channels that have changed focus. I guess I should clarify and say something here and now. I will and always will focus on doing this as a hobby for myself and hopefully to highlight games and things that people enjoy. I want to focus on things that I enjoy in particular there as well. This isn't all about me, but I will be honest, to me there is a strong hobbyist element to this. I want to do things that other people enjoy, though. I love people, and I always have loved people. If I can help people even in just a small way, I'd love to. To focus a little bit stronger on that, I hope you guys focus some of the stuff, which I'm going to be focusing more on the YouTube side. There's a lot of things that will change, but a lot that will just kind of stay the same, honestly. Like, I'm not, like, wholly changed as a person, though I've been making a lot of changes to my life here. Still, though, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys enjoy the videos. After today, which is the day that this video goes up, I will be sort of focusing on streaming Gary's Mod this weekend with some friends. We had this thing set up. We'll be streaming on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. If you want to join, there are some details in the Discord server I mentioned earlier.
This isn't right. Where do the sub...
I don't know why I keep on talking to people in the game. I'm trying to focus on talking. To touch a little bit more on things as well, I will be streaming Gary's Mod this weekend, but outside of focusing on Gary's Mod stuff, I also will do a stream today on Twitch, but just a small one where I'm going to schedule out a lot of videos of things I've previously uploaded. yeah, I think it's about all. There'll be a stream on Twitch today, just on me scheduling some videos. There'll be a Twitch on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of Gary's mod. I'm going to focus on trying to get a Close Your Eyes Anniversary Remake update done, as well as getting Game 4 of Found Horror Game 11.x done immediately, but I'm hoping to release this Yandere-esque game in January or February. There'll be smaller projects for me. I'm going to try and finish up some of my previous game duties. I might have more live videos and talk about some things in the future. I hope this is all understandable. I think one of the things I've decided for myself as well is I want to be a more open person in general. I don't think being like silent on things happening in my life particularly benefits me or you guys, to be honest. And some people don't like genuinity. I could play the YouTube game, but I'm never going to play the YouTube game. I'm not really built for that. I'd rather just be a genuine person, if that makes sense, instead of playing some character version of myself. I'm like, when you're recording, you always play it up a little bit, I think, but that doesn't mean you're not being genuine, if that makes sense. It's sort of like when you're in front of a crowd of people talking. You're still yourself, but you might try a little bit harder to be entertaining, if that makes sense. I think that makes sense. All the same, though. Hopefully you guys enjoy what I do in 2019. If you guys have any questions about anything in my past, I guess, in 2018 or anything about my plans here, you can definitely talk to me about them. I hope you guys enjoy all the videos that'll be coming up. If you want to help decide what videos are coming out in the very near future, there'll be a stream on Twitch today, which is in the link. My Twitch is in the link description below. I'll probably actually start very shortly after this video goes up and go for several hours and then stop. Gary's mod stuff, shenanigans with friends will be this weekend. We plan to play through some horror co-op campaign things, as well as just some various maps in murder and this one panic demon, or it's called panic ritual game mode, and some other things like the smashing game mode, which is not based off Super Smash Brothers, but all the same. Hopefully, yeah. I hope you guys had a decent 2018. To be honest, 2018 I think was shitty for a lot of people, but it's had its good ups and downs. Despite the stuff I sort of focused on talking about, there's a lot of pretty nice things that happened in 2018. And I think, honestly, I've grown a lot as a person in 2018. There's some things I'm not even touching on here, which has helped me tremendously. But anyways, yeah, I'm really bad at ending things. I'll just say it to all of you, and hope you guys have a wonderful start to your 2019s. See some of you guys in the stream later, and toodles.